we believe that when people flourish, business thrives. So if you take care of the person first and set them up for success, then it's a win-win. A win for the business because you get more productivity and you can do more with less. A win for the individual because they're happy, fulfilled, and they're flourishing, which is a very different dynamic than here's your paycheck, shut up and do your work.
Yeah, I mean,
that future is gone.
Yeah, exactly. That future is gone. We're canceling the future now.
Does it ever feel like you're a marketing professional just
speaking into the void?
But with LinkedIn ads, you can know you're reaching the right decision makers, a network of 130 million of them, in fact. You can even target buyers by job title, industry, company, seniority, skills, and did I say job title? See how you can avoid the void and reach the right buyers with LinkedIn ads. Spend $250 on your first campaign and get a free $250 credit for the next one. Get started at linkedin.com/campaign. Terms and conditions apply.
Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to the latest episode of Small Talk Window, where we have a small window of time to dispense with the small talk as quickly as possible and get into a meaningful conversation around the world of work. And today, my guest is Caitlin MacGregor, who is co-founder and CEO of Plum. Welcome, Caitlin.
Thank you for having me.
Let's kind of just set the table here for what the topic is today. It's particularly near and dear to me, and others have recently discussed it on the podcast. Also, it's around employer culture and employee experience and how it can be really tough to get it right. If you're an organization that cares about any of that, and you're continuously searching for ways to reconcile business objectives with the moral imperatives of creating a great workplace. And for a long time, leaders have been doing that by intuition, but more recently, through advances like those that Plum brings to the market, we have more data on human skills that helps us to bridge that gap and to create an employer culture that naturally leads to better business outcomes through data. So I'm really looking forward to talking about that with you today. How are things at Plum these days? You guys are doing a lot of stuff.
It's been amazing. We've really feel like we've hit our stride. We're seeing our enterprise customers expanding and growing. We're seeing the market really kind of catch up to what we've been working on for the last decade. So it feels like we're at the right place at the right time to really bring objective data to solving some of the biggest people problems that the companies are trying to address right now. So things are going really well.
And I've been watching from the sidelines and sort of cheering you guys on. I love what you're doing. And we don't have enough time to get into all of it, but there is a lot. And I really encourage listeners and viewers to go check out your website, plum.io, to learn the latest. But you mentioned objective data. And I think that might be an interesting place to start here because it's funny in a way, not funny, haha, but sort of an amusing or strange at first blush to think about having objective data on what we've long called soft skills, human skills. Can you just explain to us what that means? I know we have a few other things we want to get to that are related, but that really struck me that just now. What does that mean? Objective data on human skills, soft skills.
So I think the approach to being a skills-first organization, which is on the minds of a lot of people right now, is one that is often about understanding every grain of sand on the beach, basically cataloging every keyword related to a job and every keyword that somebody has touched in their past career. But what Plum is able to do is actually provide quantifiable data on people's durable skills, those human skills. So people's ability to innovate, communicate, work well on teams, really understanding what drives a person and gets them out of bed in the morning, excited about the work they're going to do. And if you take a really innovative person and you put them in a job where they need to think outside of the box, they're going to naturally outperform people that aren't driven by innovation. So this is really the objective data that predicts performance. It's the data that understands how somebody from a different background can actually transfer into a new role and succeed and excel in a new role. And it's the data behind retention, ensuring that somebody is happy, fulfilled, and is going to flourish in their role.
I love that term, durable skills. And as you were talking there, and listening, I also was thinking, okay, durable skills. What's another? Maybe dynamic skills too. We have sort of the easily measurable skills. It's not really a good example, but can you hammer a nail, right? that's
it's the innate. Yeah,
yes.
It's the innate skills, and it's the human-centric skills. It's as robots replace an enormous amount of the manual roles that we have in the workforce, and tasks get replaced by generative AI. Like, what's left? It's going to be those innate human skills that come naturally to people in different ways, that as we, the types of jobs we're going to be doing 10 years from now, we don't even know what they're going to be. They're not on paper yet. And so how are we going to place people into these brand new roles? It's all going to come down to why they call them durable skills. Is it's the skills that are going to last and be relevant throughout somebody's career, no matter how much it changes. Those human skills like innovation and communication, execution, that are not going to be replaced through automation. And that's what really is at the core of setting somebody up for success. How do we know how to set somebody up to do the best work, where they're not only going to be, incredibly productive, but they're going to enjoy the work and excel and want to stay in the role and want to keep growing in that role. That this is the core data. And this is all based on industrial organizational psychology. I remember an article you wrote several years ago where you really were one of the few analysts that understood that this is an entire discipline. There's an entire science around it. That the issue is that science was kind of locked away with consultants that were very expensive, that, they were needed to be the decoder ring to interpret the data. The difference is that now this data is democratized so that individuals can have access to this data on themselves, and it's intuitive and it makes sense and it's scalable now with technology. So there's the access to being able to use this data is what's really new, as well as the need for it is more than ever critical for companies to be successful moving forward.
Yeah. By the way, thank you for the kind words. I really loved writing that article. I remember which one it was. It was actually a series of 3, and yeah, I do agree that I think that, and we have some questions we want to get to here about business imperatives and moral imperatives. But very quickly, I do think that it is absolutely essential for, as we have these new workforce agility and talent intelligence platforms, sort of the new lexicon for talent management, right? Psychometrics, modern psychometrics, which are not the old Myers-Briggs or on any of that, much more specific and accurate. They have to be a part of the puzzle. Absolutely. Now, just very quickly, why is it so hard chasing business objectives and protecting your culture at the same time, or the other way around? Why is this so difficult for companies?
I think that it has to do with a lot of the legacy kind of business practices and leadership practices that have dominated. And there's this tension to try to find a better way forward where we're able to put humans at the center of what we're doing, and understanding how to really leverage people's strengths in order to have a competitive advantage. So I think in the past, we really ran into a scenario where people were treated as if they were a cog in a machine. Here is your paycheck, and in exchange, you are responsible for showing up to work and doing your job because I told you to. And if you don't want to do the job, then leave. But if you want the paycheck, here you go. And that started to shift, where really, we need people to show up to work and be incredibly productive and perform at their best. And, if you put somebody that excels in execution into a job where they can put their heads down and just execute day in and day out, they will be way more productive than that person who actually their skill set is, working on teams and working with others to co-create and create a joint outcome. Like if we aren't putting people in the right roles, it's a huge miss on the type of productivity that we need to have an outcome. So, we believe that when people flourish, business thrives. So if you take care of the person first and set them up for success, then it's a win-win. A win for the business because you get more productivity and you can do more with less. A win for the individual because they're happy, fulfilled, and they're flourishing, which is a very different dynamic than
Tonight on NBC, Jimmy Fallon and Bozoma St. John host the highly anticipated new competition show.
I hired 10 creatives from all walks of life. They will be battling it out to see who can impress the world's biggest brands.
This is a huge opportunity.
This is the battle for the next big idea.
This is not play.
We're spending millions of dollars.
I'm so excited to embark on this adventure with all of you.
May the best idea win!
On Brand with Jimmy Fallon, series premiere tonight on NBC.
When your investors, customers, and workers demand more from your business, make it happen with SAP. The AI-powered capabilities of SAP can help you streamline costs, connect with new suppliers, and manage payroll, even when your business is being pulled in different directions. To deliver a quality product at a fair price while paying your people what they're worth too, so your business can stay unfazed. Learn more at sap.com/uncertainty.
here's your paycheck, shut up and do your work.
Yeah, I mean,
that future is gone.
Yeah, exactly. That future is gone. We're canceling the future now with human skills understanding. And what's interesting to me is that what I'm hearing is you can really, that's a big piece of the culture of your employer culture is whether your employees like the work they're doing. I mean, we've read books where they say, hey, don't focus on doing what you love, just get a job and do that job and, have the rest of your life and put your money in your 401k and you'll be good. And not necessarily against that. I mean, there's an argument for that, I guess. But really, if you want an organization, as an organization, that an individual can think that way if they want. But as an organization, you need to be focused on, okay, how am I going to make sure that every single one of my people, all of them, they're doing what they like the most? Because there will be people who like the most doing some of the more tedious things that other people don't like. I mean, there's all sorts of different kinds of people. So that's a big deal. And that to me sounds like the real sort of cornerstone or the pillar of a strong employer culture. Now, we're going over time already a little bit here, so we have to kind of start thinking about wrapping things up, and maybe we should have you back, Caitlin, for another conversation, because we can talk about this for days. But just really quickly, because I think we've talked about the data a little bit already, which is great. But looking at things from the other end, how does all this help the C-suite become more effective and even act as one?
I think it starts with what is the strategy of the business. So there is more pressure on executives than ever to come up with a transformative strategy to help future-proof their organization and to ensure that they stay competitive as everything is changing around them. And, strategy at the end of the day is how do you go from today and move the organization to where you ideally want it to be? Mm-hmm. And the question is, do you have a culture that aligns to supporting that future strategy? Are people rowing in the same direction to go in that future direction? Or do you have people rowing in different directions? Do you have a lot of internal friction? And as companies are trying to be as efficient as possible and as fast as possible to get ahead of the competition and execute on that strategy, having data on your culture and what you need to emphasize more, what you need to emphasize less. If you are focusing on a culture that wants to, be incredibly innovative, do you have that buy-in from your people? And then do you have a workforce of enough leaders and enough managers, enough individual contributors to be those early adopters of innovation to pave the way for the rest of the organization to see that success? So there's this macro understanding of what are you trying to do as an organization, and then this micro understanding of your existing workforce of do you have the right people and are they in the right roles to get your company as quickly and efficiently to that future state. And it's all about having data on that alignment or the misalignment so that you have data on the change management roadmap you need to be successful with executing that strategy. And this is all the data that you can now get that really wasn't available unless you went through consultants in the past. But now it's all scalable and has a fantastic value add to the employees, but also informs. So there isn't a big gap between the wishful thinking of executives versus what's actually happening on the ground and how to shepherd that towards the most efficient and most productive outcome.
And that's the big part of this, is that this is now available in a reliable format, in technologized, if that's a word. And so that people can actually, organizations can actually use this and get the data and have it at their disposal so that they can build better cultures. Caitlin, we definitely are going to have you back on the podcast. But thank you so much. Thank you so much for sharing with us today. This has just been an absolutely fascinating conversation.
Thank you so much. I'm looking forward to coming back.